Let's get on Zoom and speak to the Chief Executive of the Ghana Association of Banks, John Iwag. It's good to have you with us, Mr. John. How serious is the issue of staff-related fraud in Ghana's banking sector as of today? Kindly unmute, please.
Thank you very much. It's very serious. As I said before, whenever the fraud report is released and we see the percentage of the fraud that is, it has something to do with staff, our own staff involvement, it becomes a shock to the industry. And we are now taking the bull by the horn, and we are taking action. Yes, the banks historically have been taking action, but we are not a sector that really sells our story properly. When we take actions, we don't take steps to popularize these actions to serve as warnings to other staff members from other banks who may be thinking of perpetrating similar frauds. There are bankers who are in jail, and because it is banks who have taken their own staff through the court system and have been jailed. But how many people know? But we are going to have a program to make sure that we give this kind of visibility to the public, that we do not want to condone it. We are actively fighting it. And if the next fraud report is released following the actions we are taking this year, we want to see a significant drop in the involvement of staff in whatever fraud mechanism that becomes operational at the time.
Now, to what extent are these integrity concerns affecting customer trust and the reputation of banks?
Yeah, of course. As banks, our trading currency is trust. The moment that trust is broken, you almost do not have a bank. And that is why we have to do everything to protect the integrity, sanctity, and the trustworthiness of every institution within our membership, all 24 of them. So it goes to the core of what makes us who we are. That is trust. And that is why we are not leaving any stone unturned in this fight.
I want to get from you, are commercial banks reporting these incidences?
They are. We are compelled by law to report any crime, and for fraud, whatever level that fraud happens, the same day you need to let Bank of Ghana know about it, and then you go through a reporting mechanism. Even now, Bank of Ghana has given directive to the banks that every fraud that happens within the industry, our association must also be alerted so that we can serve as more or less like a springboard to let other members of the community know that this type of fraud or a certain typology of fraud is kind of getting more traction, so that banks can put in processes to stop those frauds from happening. And through that process, we've been able to stop a lot of the frauds. And what we say is we cannot stop the fraudsters from attempting to defraud, but we have to put in mechanisms that helps us to properly prevent, and where accidentally some go through, to detect and take action.
Approximately how much has been lost through this engagement, and can you walk us through the key initiatives being implemented to curb fraud among bank staffs?
So within the banking community, when you are talking about fraud and you use amount, you will lose the story, because one fraud can be 500 million and several fraud can amount to 20,000. So we rather like to emphasize on the fraud incidents, because each fraud is important, no matter the financial loss or potential financial loss. So whether it is an attempted fraud, successful fraud, or whatever level of fraud it is, our focus is on the number of fraud incidents. And that number is what we are fighting. If it was 700 before, we want to bring it to 200, or to bring it to 200, or to bring it to maybe zero. That is where our focus is. So there is not more on how much money has been lost. It is more on how many of the incidents have we been successful at preventing. And this year, the whole of this year, you are going to hear a lot from us. Now we finished the board level engagement on ethics, getting the board, because the tone at the top is critical. The board must set that tone and let the management pick it up so that the people down can also get the same messaging coming all the way from the board level through management to the key actors. So we are going through, a wide range of activities with public education awareness campaign. Maybe in another 2 weeks, you'll be hearing us on your own channel, on several of the other news channels and media platforms, social media, wherever, in different languages, you'll be hearing from us. We want to hammer down on fraud because a lot of the fraud incidents also have complicity of the users of the financial product, where they don't take personal financial security seriously. And then we are taking staff through what we call the ethics and fraud certification. Already they signed annual fraud ethics certification, but we are adding a leg connected to fraud to that. So as part of the campaign, every person working within any of our banks will have to go through a training program and certify that they have actually completed that training program.
Thank you very much, John Iwuah, for speaking with us here on Business Live.